Welcome to After Our Mysteries. In today's video, we are going to dive deep into Fall Asleep to the man who spent 15 minutes on a UFO and never spoke again. In just a fleeting moment, David's life was irreversibly altered, an encounter so surreal that it locked his voice away in a vault of fear. What happened in those crucial minutes aboard that craft? This isn't merely a tale of alien sightings. It's a gripping exploration of the shadows that lurk in the unknown. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about the universe and your place within it. The quiet desert town lay beneath a blanket of stars, an ocean of darkness whispering secrets. David stood on the balcony of his modest home, gazing at the vast expanse of the night sky. He had always felt a deep connection to the cosmos, a sense of wonder that stirred within him like a restless spirit. The flickering stars seemed to beckon him, urging him to uncover the mysteries hidden among them. An ordinary man, by all accounts, David had a curiosity that was anything but mundane. As a child, he had spent countless nights lying on the grass, tracing constellations, and dreaming of the day he might venture beyond the confines of Earth. Tonight, however, felt different. The air was charged with an electric anticipation, and his heart raced with excitement. He had heard the stories whispers of strange lights dancing across the sky, of crafts that defied the laws of physics. David had always been skeptical, a rational thinker who preferred science to superstition. Yet, the legends of UFOs had captivated him, igniting a fire within him that had long been extinguished by the monotony of daily life. He felt an insatiable longing to witness something extraordinary, something that could shatter his understanding of reality. As he gathered his gear, a flashlight, a notebook, and a camera, he felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. What if he found nothing? What if the legends were just that, stories meant to scare children or entertain the gullible? The thought gnawed at him, wrapping around his mind like a thick fog. Yet, the pull of the unknown was irresistible, a siren's call that echoed in his heart. Deep down, he felt a yearning for adventure, a desire to step beyond the boundaries of the ordinary and plunge into the extraordinary. With a final glance at the serene suburban landscape, David climbed into his old truck and set off toward the desert. The road stretched out before him, winding through the darkened landscape, illuminated only by the headlights of his vehicle. As he drove, the familiar sights of the town faded away, replaced by the barren beauty of the desert. The stars above twinkled more brightly here, untainted by the lights of civilization. Each mile he travelled deepened his sense of anticipation, igniting a spark of adventure that made his heart race. Arriving at a secluded area far from the prying eyes of neighbours and friends, David parked his truck and stepped out into the cool night air. The silence enveloped him, broken only by the occasional rustle of the wind through the cacti and shrubs. He felt a thrill ripple through him, a sense of being on the precipice of discovery. He set up his camera, adjusting the lens to capture the starry sky, and waited, heart pounding in his chest. Minutes turned into hours, and the stillness of the desert wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. Yet, doubt began to creep in again. What if he was wasting his time? What if he was merely chasing shadows? He glanced at his watch, the ticking sound echoing in the silence. The moon began to rise, casting a silvery glow over the landscape, and with it came a renewed sense of hope. Perhaps tonight was the night when the extraordinary would reveal itself. With a deep breath, David embraced the darkness, allowing his imagination to roam free. He thought of all the possibilities that lay hidden in the vast expanse above him. What if there were beings out there, watching, waiting? What if they had come to Earth? Not to harm, but to share their knowledge. The thrill of discovery charged the air around him, and he felt a surge of determination. He had come this far, there was no turning back now. Little did he know, he was stepping into a realm where reality and the fantastical would collide in ways he could never have anticipated. The true adventure was just beginning, and the night held secrets that would change his life forever. As the night deepened, David's anticipation hung in the air like the distant hum of a tuning fork, vibrating with possibility. Hours passed under the watchful gaze of the stars, and just as he began to doubt his decision to venture into the desert, something extraordinary occurred. A flicker of light appeared on the horizon, low and pulsating, like a heartbeat echoing in the stillness of the night. At first, David thought it might be a trick of the mind, a mirage conjured by his longing for discovery. But the light grew brighter, more defined. illuminating the landscape with an ethereal glow. It danced and darted across the sky, defying the logic of earthly aircraft. His heart raced as he grabbed his camera, fingers trembling with excitement and fear. Was this it? Was this the moment he had been waiting for? With his breath caught in his throat, David focused the lens on the brilliant orb. It moved with an agility that seemed impossible, zigzagging through the sky like a firefly in a summer meadow. He could hardly believe his eyes. The rational part of his brain fought against the overwhelming sense of wonder that surged within him. Could this truly be a UFO? He knew he should turn back, but the magnetic pull of the light held him captive. Suddenly, the light stopped, hovering just above the ground a few hundred yards away. David's heart pounded in his chest as he felt a rush of adrenaline. This was no longer just a distant anomaly. It was real and tangible. The air around him crackled with energy, sending shivers down his spine. He took a step forward, then another, drawn by a force he could not explain. As he approached, the light expanded, revealing a sleek, metallic craft that shimmered under the moonlight. It resembled nothing he had ever seen, smooth, almost organic in its design, with an otherworldly elegance that both mesmerized and terrified him. The craft emitted a soft hum, a sound that resonated deep within him, vibrating through his very bones. David felt a sense of awe wash over him, mixed with an undercurrent of primal fear. What was this thing? Why was it here? In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos of his thoughts, David realized he was witnessing something monumental. He was about to become part of a story that transcended human understanding. Just as he raised his camera to capture the moment, a beam of light shot down from the craft, enveloping him in a warm glow. His heart raced as the world around him faded into a blur, replaced by an intense brightness that consumed him. Time lost all meaning as he felt himself being drawn upward, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling around him. A sensation of weightlessness took hold, and he could no longer distinguish between the physical and the ethereal. Panic surged through him, but it was quickly replaced by a profound sense of peace. He was not afraid. He was curious, eager to understand what lay beyond this moment. In an instant, he found himself inside the craft, standing in a vast chamber that defied the laws of physics. The walls pulsed with light, shifting colors that seemed to communicate with him on a subconscious level. David blinked, trying to comprehend the surreal environment, when he noticed figures moving in the shadows, tall, slender beings whose features were obscured by the brilliance of the light. They beckoned to him, and despite the instinctual urge to flee, he felt compelled to approach. Words danced on the tip of his tongue, but he found himself unable to speak. It was as if the air had been sucked from his lungs, leaving him in a state of breathless wonder. The beings communicated not with words, but through thoughts and emotions, pouring knowledge into his mind like a torrent. He felt their intentions, curiosity, compassion, and a deep understanding of humanity. For what felt like an eternity, David existed in this strange realm, absorbing information that transcended language. Images of distant galaxies, advanced technologies, and the interconnectedness of all life flooded his consciousness. He grasped concepts that would take lifetimes to understand, yet they felt familiar, as if they had always been a part of him. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the experience shifted. The beings stepped back, and the light that surrounded him dimmed. David felt a sudden rush of gravity return to him, and he found himself standing back on the desert floor, the craft hovering silently above him. The light flickered one last time, and then it was gone, disappearing into the vast expanse of the night sky. David stood alone, breathless and bewildered, the weight of what had just occurred crashing down on him like a tidal wave. He felt changed, as if a part of him had been awakened. Yet, as the silence enveloped him once more, he realized he could not speak of it. The experience was too profound, too extraordinary, and the words to describe it eluded him. As he made his way back to his truck, the enormity of the night settled deep within him. He had touched the unknown, glimpsed something beyond human comprehension, and now he was left with a haunting question. What was the cost of knowledge? And why, after such an encounter, could he not bring himself to share it? The dawn broke over the desert, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, but David felt as though he was still trapped in a dream. He sat in his truck, staring out at the vast, landscape that had transformed overnight into something both familiar and alien. The events of the previous night replayed in his mind like a haunting melody, each note echoing with the weight of what he had witnessed. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white against the worn leather. David's heart raced, not just from fear but from an overwhelming sense of responsibility. He had been given a glimpse into a universe teeming with possibilities, yet he felt utterly alone with his knowledge. The weight of the experience pressed down on him, and for the first time, he questioned everything he thought he knew about reality. As he drove back into town, the familiar sights began to feel foreign. The houses, the people, even the roads seemed to vibrate with a new energy, as if the world itself had shifted during his time away. Yet, no one could see it. No one could understand the truth that had been revealed to him. The thought gnawed at him, causing a knot of anxiety to form in his stomach. David arrived at his house and parked the truck, but he hesitated before stepping inside. His wife, Sarah, would be waking up soon, and he knew she would want to hear about his night. The thought of sharing his experience filled him with dread. How could he explain something so profound, so inexplicable? He was terrified of her disbelief, of the way she might look at him if he spoke of aliens and UFOs. With a deep breath, he entered the house. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, a comforting reminder of home. As he walked into the kitchen, Sarah looked up from the counter, her face lighting up with a smile that momentarily eased his turmoil. "Good morning. You're up early. Did you see anything interesting out there?" she asked, pouring herself a cup of coffee. Nothing much," he finally said, forcing a smile. "Just the usual stars and the moon." He felt a pang of guilt wash over him, but he couldn't bring himself to share the truth. Not yet. Just the stars. "Huh? I was hoping you'd bring back some wild story," she teased, her eyes sparkling with affection. "You know, like that time you thought you saw a shooting star but it turned out to be a plane?" "Yeah, just like that," he replied, his heart heavy with the weight of his unspoken truth. As Sarah chatted about her plans for the day, David nodded along, but his mind was elsewhere, lost in the memory of the craft and the beings that had shown him glimpses of a universe beyond his comprehension. The day dragged on, and David found himself unable to concentrate on anything. He tried to engage in his usual routine, checking emails, organizing files at work, but the experience from the night before loomed over him like a dark cloud. He felt as though he were drifting through life, a ghost in his own existence, haunted by the knowledge that he couldn't share. That evening, as he sat on the couch, Sarah curled up beside him, watching a movie. He attempted to immerse himself in the story, but the images on the screen blurred together. Instead, he found himself staring off into space, lost in thought. The encounter replayed in his mind, vivid and sharp, as if it had just happened. "David?" Sarah's voice broke through his reverie, pulling him back to reality. "You've been really distant lately. Is everything okay?" He turned to her, searching her face for understanding, for a sign that she might grasp the enormity of what he had experienced. But all he saw was concern. "Yeah, I'm fine," he lied, forcing a smile. "Just tired, I guess." But he wasn't fine. He was tormented by an internal struggle, feeling the weight of a truth that threatened to consume him whole. The world outside continued to spin, oblivious to the extraordinary event that had unfolded just hours before. He felt isolated, a lone traveller on a journey that no one else could comprehend. As the night wore on, David found himself unable to sleep. He tossed and turned, the shadows in his room morphing into the silhouettes of the beings he had encountered. Their presence lingered in his mind, their silent communication echoing through the corridors of his thoughts. He felt a deep yearning to understand their message, to decipher the knowledge they had imparted, but the details eluded him like grains of sand slipping through his fingers. The vastness of the universe felt like a heavy blanket, suffocating and yet exhilarating. Every time he closed his eyes, he was transported back to that moment inside the craft, to the rush of emotions and the flood of information that had surged through him like a tidal wave. He could almost hear their thoughts, gentle and probing, urging him to remember, to share their wisdom with the world. But how could he do that, when he couldn't even articulate the experience to himself? In the early hours of the morning, when the world was still shrouded in darkness, David made a decision. He would seek the truth. He would delve into the mysteries of the universe, not just for himself, but for humanity. He couldn't carry this burden alone. The experience was too profound, too important to be kept hidden away like a secret. The next day, David began researching UFO sightings, conspiracy theories, and the myriad of stories surrounding extraterrestrial encounters. He immersed himself in books, forums, and documentaries, desperately searching for answers, but with each new piece of information, he felt more lost than before. The truth was elusive, shrouded in layers of speculation and skepticism. He spent hours poring over articles, watching videos of alleged abductions, and listening to podcasts that discussed everything, from ancient astronauts to government cover-ups. Each story he encountered seemed to resonate with a part of him that had been awakened by his own experience. Yet none of them captured the essence of what he had felt. Yet he refused to give up. The knowledge he had gained from that brief encounter was a flame ignited within him, pushing him to explore the unknown. He felt a calling, a need to connect with others who had experienced similar phenomena. Perhaps, together, they could unlock the mysteries that had been hidden for so long. As the days turned into weeks, David's obsession deepened. He attended local meetings of UFO enthusiasts, shared his story with those who would listen, and even sought out individuals who claimed to have had similar encounters. Each interaction brought him closer to understanding, but the weight of his experience continued to linger, a reminder of the night that had forever changed him. He found solace in the community, a gathering of like-minded individuals who shared his sense of wonder and curiosity. They discussed theories, exchanged stories, and debated the implications of alien life. But David remained guarded about his own encounter. The more he listened, the more he felt a mix of camaraderie and isolation. While others spoke of their experiences with excitement, David grappled with the enormity of his truth. Each time he opened his mouth to share, the fear of being misunderstood held him back, trapping the words in his throat. He felt like an outsider, standing at the edge of a vast ocean while others swam freely in its depths. One evening, after a particularly engaging meeting, David found himself sitting in his car, staring at the night sky. The stars twinkled above him, each one a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay beyond his understanding. He thought about Sarah, about how much he loved her, and how desperately he wanted her to be part of this journey with him. But the fear of her reaction kept him silent. Would she laugh? Would she think he had lost his mind? The thought of her disappointment was unbearable. As he wrestled with his thoughts, a sudden resolve washed over him. He realized that if he wanted to find peace, he needed to share his experience with Sarah. She was his partner, the one person who had always stood by him, and if anyone could understand, it would be her. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but the burden of secrecy was becoming too heavy to bear. When he returned home, he found Sarah in their living room, curled up with a book. The soft glow of the lamp illuminated her features, and David felt a rush of affection. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. "Sarah, can we talk?" She looked up, her brow furrowing with concern. "Of course. What's on your mind?" David hesitated, the words momentarily caught in his throat. "I need to tell you something important." As he began to recount his experience, Sarah listened intently, her expression shifting from curiosity to disbelief, and finally to a mixture of concern and understanding. David poured out his heart, recounting every detail: the craft, the thick beings, the knowledge that had flowed into him like a river. As he spoke, he watched her reaction closely, searching for signs of dismissal or disbelief. But to his surprise, Sarah remained calm. She didn't interrupt or laugh. Instead, she nodded thoughtfully. "That's incredible," she finally said, her voice soft. "I can't imagine how that must have felt for you." David felt a wave of relief wash over him. "You believe me?" "I don't know if I can fully understand it," she admitted, "but I believe you. I know how passionate you are about the universe and the unknown. I wouldn't dismiss something that means so much to you." Tears of gratitude filled David's eyes. For the first time since his encounter, he felt a sense of freedom, a release from the burden he had carried alone. Together, they began to explore the implications of his experience, discussing the possibilities and the questions that still lingered in David's mind. As they talked late into the night, David realized that the journey he had embarked upon was not just about uncovering the truth of his experience. It was also about the connections he forged along the way. With Sarah by his side, he felt ready to confront the mysteries that lay ahead. to seek answers not just for himself, but for the world. And in that moment, he understood. The quest for knowledge was not a solitary journey. It was one best shared with those who believed in the power of wonder and the unknown. With the burden of secrecy lifted, David felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination wash over him. The night after sharing his experience with Sarah was one of the most restful he had enjoyed in weeks. For the first time in a long while, he felt free to explore the mysteries that had captivated him. While still unsure of the full implications of his encounter, David was resolute in his decision to seek answers not just for himself, but to share with others who might have had similar experiences. The following morning, he sat down at the kitchen table with Sarah, a steaming cup of coffee in hand, ready to map out their next steps. They spread out a large map of the area, marking locations of recent UFO sightings and accounts of unusual phenomena, all those dots representing potential discoveries and new adventures waiting to unfold. The map was densely populated with little red circles, each one a beacon of excitement and the promise of the unknown. "Let's start with this one," he said, pointing to a spot about an hour's drive from their home. "There's been a recent report of strange lights in the sky, and it sounds similar to what I saw." Sarah leaned forward, studying the map intently, her brow furrowing in thought. "I'm in. Let's see what we can find," she replied, her enthusiasm matching his. The prospect of adventure had ignited a fire in both of them, a shared excitement that made David's heart swell with gratitude. This wasn't just his journey anymore, it was theirs. They made plans to leave that very evening, packing supplies and snacks into their truck with an infectious eagerness. David gathered flashlights, a first aid kit, a couple of sandwiches, and a thermos filled with hot coffee. Sarah, always prepared, brought along her notebook, ready to jot down any observations or insights they might glean from their investigation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the desert landscape, David felt a thrill course through him. The world around them was alive with possibilities, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was about to unfold. As they drove, the road stretched out before them like a ribbon leading into the unknown. The sky transitioned from dusk to twilight, and stars began to twinkle overhead like scattered diamonds, each one a pinprick of light in the vast expanse. David and Sarah exchanged theories about what they might encounter, their excitement building with every mile. He shared his insights from the research he had conducted, recounting stories of others who had witnessed similar phenomena, the accounts igniting their imaginations. "Do you think we'll actually see something?" Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation and a hint of trepidation. "I don't know," David admitted, "but I feel like we're on the brink of something incredible. Just being out here, away from the city lights, makes it feel possible." As they neared their destination, the landscape grew more rugged and wild. The road became a winding path, flanked by cacti and rocky outcroppings, the air thick with the earthy scent of sagebrush and the promise of adventure. David felt a sense of exhilaration as he parked the truck on a secluded stretch of desert, far from the distractions of modern life. The air was crisp, and as they stepped out, David took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the cool night air. The Milky Way stretched across the sky, a river of stars that seemed to flow endlessly, reminding him of the beauty that lay beyond their everyday existence. They set up a small camp, complete with blankets and the telescope David had borrowed from a friend, a device that had once felt like a mere novelty but now held the potential for discovery. The night deepened, and the sounds of the desert enveloped them, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a coyote, and the soft whisper of the wind. David felt a sense of peace settle over him, a connection to the universe that had been missing for so long. As they took turns looking through the telescope, they marveled at the wonders of the cosmos. "Look at that!" Sarah exclaimed, pointing at a cluster of stars. "It's amazing how small we are in comparison to all of this." David nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "And how vast the universe is. It makes my experience feel both insignificant and monumental at the same time." Hours passed, and, just as David was beginning to think that maybe they wouldn't see anything unusual, a flicker of light caught his eye in the distance, a glowing orb hovering above the horizon. His heart raced. "Sarah, look!" he shouted, pointing toward the light. She turned, eyes wide with wonder. "What is that?" The orb moved silently, gliding across the sky with a fluid grace that seemed to defy the laws of physics. It pulsated with an array of colors, greens, blues, and whites, each hue shimmering like a jewel against the dark canvas of the night. David felt a rush of adrenaline as he grabbed the camera, intent on capturing the moment. "This is it! This is exactly what I saw!" he exclaimed, fumbling with the settings. "Be careful. Don't take your eyes off it," Sarah urged, her voice tinged with excitement and fear. He focused the lens on the orb, trying to steady his shaking hands. The light danced in the sky, swirling and darting, as if it were aware of their presence. David felt a familiar sensation wash over him, a connection to something greater than himself. He pressed the shutter, hoping to capture the moment, to hold on to this fleeting glimpse of the unknown. But just as he took the photo, the orb shot upward into the sky, disappearing into the vastness of space with a speed that left them both breathless. David lowered the camera, heart pounding, and turned to Sarah, who was equally stunned. "Did you see that?" he gasped, his voice barely above a whisper. "I can't believe it," she replied, her eyes wide with disbelief and excitement. "That was incredible. It was just like you described." They stood in silence for a moment, processing what they had just witnessed. It was as if time had stood still, and the world around them faded away. The reality of the situation began to sink in. They weren't alone in the universe. There was something out there, something that defied explanation and ignited their imaginations. "Do you think it was?" David began, but Sarah interrupted him. "I don't know, but whatever it was, it felt alive." As they packed up their gear, David felt a sense of exhilaration wash over him. This was just the beginning. The experience had deepened his desire to seek out the truth, to understand the nature of what they had witnessed. The journey was far from over. It was only just beginning. On the drive home, David and Sarah exchanged theories, each idea more fantastical than the last. The excitement buzzed between them, filling the car with an energy that made the mundane drive feel electric. They debated the implications of their encounter, wondering what it could mean for humanity in the future. "Maybe they're trying to communicate with us," Sarah suggested, her voice filled with wonder. "What if they're here to help us? Or to observe us?" David countered, his mind racing. "What if we're just a curiosity for them, like how we study animals in the wild? But what if they're more advanced than we are?" Sarah mused. "Maybe they have knowledge that could help us solve our problems, climate change, diseases, wars. What if they've been watching us to see if we're ready to take that next step?" David nodded, captivated by her enthusiasm. "That's a fascinating thought. It makes you wonder what they know and how they perceive us. Are we just ants to them, or do they see the potential for something greater?" When they arrived home, the early morning light began to filter through the windows, casting a warm glow over their living room. David felt a sense of accomplishment swell within him. They had ventured into the unknown and returned with a story that would forever change their lives. As they settled in for a few hours of sleep, David couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the start of something much bigger. The universe was vast and full of secrets, and he was ready to uncover them. He knew that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with Sarah by his side, forging a path toward knowledge and understanding together. In the days that followed, their routine shifted. David found himself more focused and energized, driven by the possibilities that lay ahead. He dedicated time to researching UFO phenomena, diving deep into the lore of alien encounters. Sarah, meanwhile, began reaching out to local groups and online communities, connecting with others who had experienced similar encounters. Together, they sought to piece together the fragments of knowledge that could lead them to a deeper understanding of what lay beyond their world. One evening, Sarah returned from a meeting with a local UFO research group, her face alight with excitement. "David, you won't believe what I learned," she exclaimed, practically bursting with energy. "There's a conference coming up next month in the city, and some of the speakers are renowned researchers and even a few people who claim to have had direct contact." David's eyes widened at the prospect. "We have to go. This could be a great opportunity to learn more and meet others who understand what we've experienced." "Exactly," Sarah replied, grinning. "I think we could even present our story. Imagine sharing what you saw with people who might actually believe you." The thought sent a thrill through David. The idea of sharing his experience, of standing before a crowd and talking about the encounter, filled him with equal parts excitement and dread. But he felt a growing conviction that this was the next step in their journey. As the date of the conference approached, they spent hours preparing. David practiced his speech in front of the mirror, rehearsing every detail of his experience. while Sarah gathered research materials and crafted a presentation that highlighted their findings. They were a team, united in their quest for answers, and the preparation brought them even closer together. Finally, the day of the conference arrived. David's nerves were frayed as they entered the bustling venue, filled with people from all walks of life, enthusiasts, skeptics, researchers, and those simply curious about the mysteries of the universe. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the thrill of shared intrigue and wonder. As they moved through the crowd, David felt a sense of camaraderie with those around him. Each person had their own story, their own reason for being there, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging in this gathering of seekers. They attended panels, listened to expert speakers, and engaged in spirited discussions about the implications of extraterrestrial life. When it was finally time for David to present, he felt his heart pounding in his chest. Standing in front of the audience, he glanced at Sarah, who gave him an encouraging nod. Taking a deep breath, he began to share his story, the encounter, the feelings, the connection he had felt with the beings inside the craft. As he spoke, he saw the faces of the audience shift from skepticism to intrigue. He could see the flickers of recognition in their eyes, the understanding that came from shared experience. He was no longer alone in his journey. He was part of a larger narrative, one that spanned generations and transcended the boundaries of human understanding. By the time he finished, David felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. The applause that followed was a resounding affirmation of the journey he had embarked upon. As he stepped down from the stage, he was met with a flood of questions and eager conversations. People approached him to share their own stories, to express their support, and to ask how they could join in the search for answers. In that moment, David realized that the search for truth was not just a solitary endeavor. It was a collective journey, one that brought people together in the pursuit of understanding the unknown. With Sarah by his side, he felt empowered to continue exploring the vast mysteries of the universe, knowing that they were not alone in their quest. The aftermath of the conference left David and Sarah buzzing with excitement and a profound sense of purpose. The experience of sharing their story had opened doors they never expected. They were no longer solitary seekers. They were part of a vibrant community, united by a shared curiosity about the cosmos and the mysteries it held. In the weeks following the conference, David and Sarah found themselves immersed in a whirlwind of events. They began attending local meetups with fellow enthusiasts, engaging in discussions that ranged from scientific theories to personal encounters with the unexplained. Each meeting was a treasure trove of information, a gathering of minds that sparked new ideas and ignited their enthusiasm for exploration. One evening, after a particularly engaging discussion on the scientific possibilities of extraterrestrial life, David and Sarah found themselves having dinner at a small cafe with a couple they had met at a meetup. Mark and Jenna were seasoned UFO researchers, both with fascinating stories of their own. Over plates of pasta and glasses of wine, the conversation flowed effortlessly, weaving in and out of personal experiences, theories, and the latest discoveries in the field. "Have you guys ever thought about doing some field research?" Mark asked, leaning forward with interest. There are groups that organize investigations into sightings, and they're always looking for fresh eyes and perspectives. David's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "That sounds incredible. I've always wanted to be part of something like that. But where do we start?" Jenna smiled, her enthusiasm infectious. "There's a group that meets next month in the mountains. They'll be gathering data on recent sightings and conducting nighttime observations. It could be a great opportunity for you both to dive deeper into the research, meet others who are passionate about this." The idea of participating in a structured investigation thrilled David and Sarah. They exchanged excited glances, both recognizing the significance of this opportunity. "We're in," David replied, feeling a rush of adrenaline at the thought of actively pursuing the truth. As the weeks passed, they prepared meticulously for the upcoming investigation, gathering equipment and reviewing techniques for documenting sightings. They purchased night vision goggles, a high-quality camera, and notebooks to record their observations. Sarah even downloaded an app that tracked celestial events, ensuring they wouldn't miss any anomalies in the sky. On the day of the investigation, they drove to the mountains, the air growing cooler as they ascended. The scenery was breathtaking, with towering trees and sweeping views of the valleys below. David felt a sense of peace wash over him as they reached their destination, a secluded campsite surrounded by nature's beauty. It was the perfect setting for seeking answers. As night fell, the group gathered around a campfire, sharing stories and building camaraderie. David felt a sense of belonging among these fellow seekers. They were all there for the same reason, to explore the unknown and to understand the mysteries that surrounded them. After the initial introductions, the leader of the group, a seasoned investigator named Tom, began to share some of the findings from previous investigations. "We've had some interesting sightings in this area," he explained, his voice steady and authoritative. "Reports of strange lights, unexplained sounds, and even the occasional close encounter. Tonight, we'll be conducting observations and documenting anything unusual." David felt a thrill of anticipation. This was what he had been searching for, a chance to not only witness phenomena, but to actively participate in documenting it. The anticipation crackled in the air as the group prepared for the night's observations. David and Sarah stood at the edge of the campsite, where the trees parted to reveal a clear view of the starry sky. The atmosphere was electric, filled with a sense of possibility and excitement. Tonight, they would step beyond the boundaries of the ordinary, into the realm of the extraordinary. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky transformed into a breathtaking canvas of deep purples, fiery oranges, and rich indigos. Stars began to twinkle into existence, each one a potential beacon of discovery. David took a moment to soak in the beauty around him, the cool breeze on his skin, the distant sounds of the forest, and the flickering glow of the campfire that cast dancing shadows on the ground. He felt a sense of camaraderie with the other participants, all of them united by a thirst for knowledge and a desire to uncover the mysteries of the universe. Tom, the group leader, gathered everyone around the fire to discuss the plan for the evening. "Tonight, we're going to split into pairs," he explained, his voice steady and authoritative. "Each pair will take a designated area to monitor for any unusual activity. Remember to document everything: sightings, sounds, feelings. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is." David exchanged a glance with Sarah, her eyes sparkling with excitement and determination. "I'm ready for this," she said, her voice firm and resolute. After a brief discussion, they decided it would be best to venture out together rather than with others. Both felt a stronger bond when exploring as a team, and they were eager to share any discoveries they might make. Armed with their equipment, a camera, notebooks, and a flashlight, they set off into the night, leaving the warmth of the fire behind them. The forest was alive with sounds: the rustle of leaves, the occasional hoot of an owl, and the distant chirping of crickets. As they walked deeper into the woods, David felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. What if they actually encountered something? What if they didn't? The uncertainty was exhilarating, tinged with a sense of adventure that both thrilled and terrified him. They found a small clearing, a perfect spot to set up their observation post. David carefully laid out their gear, ensuring everything was in order, while Sarah adjusted the settings on the camera, making sure they were ready for any sudden movement in the sky. "Do you think we'll see anything tonight?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as though speaking too loudly might scare away the unknown. "I hope so," David replied, scanning the sky. "But even if we don't, just being out here feels important. It's like we're part of something bigger." He felt a sense of purpose swell within him, a connection to the cosmos that transcended the ordinary. With the telescope set up and their recording devices ready, they settled in, their eyes glued to the heavens. Hours passed as they took turns looking through the telescope, marveling at the beauty of the cosmos. David pointed out constellations, sharing stories from mythology about the stars above them. They laughed and joked, the tension of the unknown easing as they enjoyed each other's company. Just as David was about to suggest they take a break and grab some snacks, a flicker of light caught his eye in the distance. He straightened, heart racing. "Sarah, look, over there," he exclaimed, pointing toward a faint glow on the horizon. She turned, eyes wide with wonder. "What is that?" The light pulsed and flickered, moving erratically across the sky. David felt his breath catch in his throat. This was it, the moment they had both hoped for. The orb darted back and forth, illuminating the trees in a soft, ethereal glow. They both scrambled for their camera, hands trembling with excitement. "Get the video!" David urged, his voice filled with urgency. As Sarah began to record, David focused the camera on the light, trying to steady his breathing. The orb danced in the sky, changing colors from white to blue to green, each hue more vibrant than the last. David felt a rush of adrenaline as he captured the moment, knowing this could be the evidence they needed to share with the world. "Can you believe this?" Sarah whispered, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. David shook his head, unable to find the words. This was a moment beyond comprehension, a glimpse into something greater than themselves. The orb continued its mesmerizing dance, moving closer to them, as if inviting them to join in its celestial ballet. Suddenly, the light shot upward, disappearing into the vast expanse of the night sky with an almost otherworldly speed. David lowered the camera, heart pounding in his chest. "Did you see that?" he gasped, his voice barely above a whisper. "I can't believe it," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling with disbelief and excitement. "That was incredible. It was just like we talked about." They stood in stunned silence, processing what they had just witnessed. The reality of the situation began to sink in. They weren't alone in the universe. There was something out there, something that defied explanation and ignited their imaginations. "Do you think it's—" David began, but Sarah interrupted him. "I don't know, but whatever it was, it felt alive." As they packed up their gear, David felt a sense of exhilaration wash over him. This was just the beginning. The experience had deepened his desire to seek out the truth, to understand the nature of what they had witnessed. The journey was far from over. It was only just beginning. When they returned to the campfire, the group was buzzing with excitement, eager to hear about their observations. David and Sarah shared their encounter, recounting every detail, from the pulsing colors to the feeling of connection they had felt with the orb. The others listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder. "That's incredible," Tom exclaimed, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "We've had reports of similar sightings in this area before, but nothing quite like that. It sounds like you two experienced something truly unique." As discussions continued late into the night, David felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had not only witnessed the extraordinary, but had also become part of a larger narrative, a network of individuals dedicated to exploring the unknown. The connections they forged during this investigation would serve as the foundation for future explorations and discoveries. As the fire dwindled and the stars twinkled above, David and Sarah found themselves reflecting on the night's events. "I can't believe what we just saw," Sarah said, a smile spreading across her face. "It feels like we're on the brink of something monumental." David nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "This is just the start. I know there's so much more out there for us to discover. We have to keep pushing forward." In the days that followed, they felt an invigorating sense of momentum. Their experience had fueled their desire to continue exploring the unknown, to seek out new opportunities for investigation and understanding. They began planning future meetups, eager to dive deeper into their research and share their findings with others. One evening, while reviewing their notes and photos from the investigation, David turned to Sarah, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "You know, we should consider organizing a community event, something that brings people together to share their stories and experiences. We could create a space for discussion and exploration, where everyone feels welcome to contribute." Sarah's eyes lit up at the idea. "That sounds fantastic. We could invite guest speakers, host workshops, and even have a stargazing night. It would be a great way to engage this community and encourage more people to explore the mysteries of the universe." The prospect of leading such an event filled David with a sense of purpose. He could envision a gathering of curious minds, all united in their quest for knowledge and understanding. This was an opportunity to foster connections and inspire others to explore the unknown alongside them. As they began planning the event, they reached out to local organizations, schools, and community centers, spreading the word about their initiative. They designed flyers, created a website, and leveraged social media to reach a broader audience. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with individuals from all backgrounds expressing interest in participating. On the day of the event, David and Sarah arrived early to set up the venue, their hearts racing with anticipation. They decorated the space with posters of constellations, arranged seating for discussions, and set up a table for refreshments. As attendees began to arrive, David felt a mix of nerves and excitement. This was their chance to create something meaningful, to inspire curiosity and wonder. As the event unfolded, David welcomed guests, encouraging them to share their stories and experiences. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with laughter and lively discussions. Participants exchanged ideas, theories, and personal encounters, creating a tapestry of connection and exploration. As the evening progressed, David and Sarah facilitated discussions, guiding conversations, and encouraging everyone to contribute. David felt a profound sense of gratitude for the community they were building. They were no longer just individuals seeking answers. They were a collective of curious minds, all united in their quest for knowledge. In one particularly poignant moment, an elderly gentleman named George shared his experience of a close encounter from decades ago. His voice trembled with emotion as he recounted the details, the fear, the wonder, and the lingering questions that had haunted him ever since. The room fell silent, everyone hanging on his every word, captivated by the authenticity of his story. "I thought I was alone in this," George admitted, wiping a tear from his eye. "But hearing all of you share your experiences makes me feel like I'm part of something. It's comforting to know I'm not alone." David felt a lump in his throat as he looked around the room. This was what they had hoped to create, a safe space for people to share their truths, to connect over their experiences, and to find solace in the shared pursuit of understanding. It was a powerful reminder of the human experience, of the longing to be heard and understood. As the event came to a close, David reflected on the impact they had created. They had fostered connections, ignited curiosity, and inspired others to explore the mysteries of the universe. The success of the event fueled their desire to continue this journey, to seek out new opportunities for exploration and understanding. As the attendees departed, David and Sarah exchanged smiles, their hearts full. They had taken the first step in creating something meaningful, something that could inspire others to explore the unknown alongside them. The journey was just beginning, and they were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. In the weeks that followed, the enthusiasm generated by the event continued to ripple through the community. David and Sarah found themselves inundated with messages and emails from participants eager to join their efforts, share their stories, and collaborate on future initiatives. It was exhilarating and overwhelming all at once. They scheduled regular meetings to plan upcoming events, brainstorming ideas for workshops and discussions that would deepen their understanding of UFO phenomena and related topics. David felt alive with purpose, energized by the collective passion of the group. It was a newfound sense of belonging, a community of seekers determined to unlock the secrets of the universe together. As they prepared for their next gathering, David and Sarah agreed to invite a local expert, a professor of astrophysics, who had written extensively about the intersections of science and UFO research. The prospect of hosting someone with such knowledge excited them both, and they hoped it would draw even more participants eager to learn and engage. The day of the gathering arrived, and the venue was buzzing with energy. David and Sarah welcomed attendees, their hearts racing with anticipation. As the professor began to speak, David felt a sense of awe wash over him. The insights shared were profound, bridging the gap between the scientific community and those who sought answers beyond the stars. "Science and wonder are not mutually exclusive," the professor explained, gesturing passionately as he spoke. "In fact, they often go hand in hand. The universe is vast and mysterious, and it's our curiosity that drives us to explore its depths. Whether through science or personal experiences, each of us is contributing to a larger understanding of what's out there." David felt a surge of inspiration at the professor's words. It was a reminder that their journey was not just about seeking answers, but also about cultivating curiosity and fostering connections. They were part of a broader movement, one that transcended individual experiences and delved into the essence of what it meant to be human. As the evening progressed, attendees engaged in lively discussions, sharing ideas and insights sparked by the professor's talk. David felt a sense of pride in what they had created, a platform for inquiry, exploration, and connection. It was a space where people could come together to share their truths and inspire one another. In the days that followed, David and Sarah continued to nurture their growing community. They organized more events, workshops, and discussions, each one bringing together an ever-expanding network of seekers. With each gathering, they felt their sense of purpose solidify, their commitment to exploring the unknown deepening. David often found himself reflecting on how far they had come since that fateful night in the mountains. What had begun as a personal journey of discovery had blossomed into something much more, a movement fueled by curiosity, connection, and a shared desire to explore the mysteries of the universe. As they prepared for their next big event, a stargazing night combined with a panel discussion featuring local researchers, David felt a sense of anticipation building within him. They had created a vibrant, inclusive community, one that would continue to grow and thrive as more individuals joined the quest for knowledge. On the night of the event, David and Sarah arrived early to set up. They laid out telescopes, arranged seating under the stars, and prepared materials for the discussion. The air was electric with excitement, a palpable energy that filled the atmosphere. As attendees began to arrive, David noticed the diverse range of people, families, students, older adults, all drawn together by a common interest in the mysteries of the universe. He felt a sense of gratitude for the community they had built, a group of individuals who shared their passion and curiosity. As the event unfolded, David and Sarah facilitated discussions, encouraged questions, and welcomed contributions from attendees. The sky was clear, and as they looked through the telescopes, they marveled at the beauty of the cosmos. Each star, each planet, each celestial body felt like a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. As the evening came to a close, David and Sarah stood together, looking out at the crowd. They had created something beautiful, a space where people could come together to explore, learn, and share. It was a testament to the power of connection and community, and they knew this was only the beginning. With hearts full of hope and excitement, they exchanged smiles, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead on their journey of exploration. As the weeks turned into months, David and Sarah's community continued to thrive, blossoming into a vibrant network of seekers united by curiosity and a passion for exploration. Their gatherings became a regular fixture in the local calendar, drawing in curious minds from all walks of life. Each event was an opportunity to share experiences, discuss theories, and delve deeper into the mysteries of the universe. The sense of camaraderie among the participants was palpable, and David felt a growing sense of fulfillment in being a part of something so meaningful. One evening, as they wrapped up another successful gathering, David and Sarah shared a moment of reflection. They stood outside, gazing up at the star-studded sky, the crisp night air filled with the sounds of the forest. The stars twinkled. Above, each one a distant sun, a reminder of the vastness of the cosmos. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Sarah asked, a smile lighting up her face, her eyes sparkling with excitement. David nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "It's incredible. I never imagined we would build such a vibrant community. It feels like we're creating something important." He looked over at Sarah, whose enthusiasm never ceased to inspire him. And the best part? We're just getting started. Sarah leaned against the car, her expression thoughtful as she gazed upward. "But there's still so much more to explore. We've only scratched the surface of what's out there. I can't help but wonder what else we might discover. What if there are connections we haven't even thought of yet?" Her words resonated deeply within David. The call of the unknown tugged at him, igniting a spark of curiosity that refused to be extinguished. It was as if the universe was whispering to them, urging them to dig deeper, to seek out the truth that lay beyond the stars. He felt a surge of determination to push the boundaries of their exploration. With a newfound sense of purpose, they began brainstorming ideas for an even larger event, one that would not only bring together their existing community, but also reach out to others beyond their immediate circle. They envisioned a weekend retreat, a gathering in a secluded location where participants could immerse themselves in discussions, workshops, and nighttime observations. It would be an opportunity for everyone to connect with each other and the cosmos on a deeper level, free from the distractions of daily life. Over the next few weeks, they poured their hearts into planning the retreat. They secured a beautiful location nestled in the mountains, surrounded by nature, and far from the distractions of daily life. The area was tranquil, with towering trees that whispered secrets in the wind, and a gentle stream that provided a soothing soundtrack. As they envisioned the setting, David felt a sense of excitement building within him. This was the perfect backdrop for the journey they were about to embark upon. As they organized the logistics, they reached out to speakers who could offer unique insights, experts in ufology, astronomy, and even psychology, to discuss the human experience of encountering the unknown. They crafted a schedule filled with engaging workshops and activities designed to spark curiosity and foster exploration. David felt a giddy thrill as they finalized the itinerary, imagining the connections that would be forged and the knowledge that would be shared. Finally, the day of the retreat arrived. David and Sarah arrived early to set up, their hearts racing with anticipation. They unloaded supplies and arranged seating, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. The air was fresh and invigorating, filled with the scent of pine trees and the distant sound of a babbling brook. As they unloaded their supplies, they marveled at the beauty of their surroundings. It felt like the perfect setting for the journey they were about to embark upon. As participants began to arrive, David felt a sense of anticipation building. They greeted each person warmly, welcoming them into the space they had created. The energy in the air was electric, a blend of excitement and curiosity, as strangers became friends, united by their shared interests. The retreat kicked off with an opening circle, where everyone introduced themselves and shared a bit about their experiences and what had brought them to the gathering. David listened intently, captivated by the diverse stories and perspectives. Some attendees shared their own close encounters, while others spoke of their lifelong fascination with the stars. He felt a sense of awe at the wealth of experiences being shared, each one a unique thread in the tapestry of exploration. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the landscape, David took a moment to reflect on the significance of the retreat. This was more than just an event. It was a celebration of curiosity and connection. They were fostering a community that encouraged exploration, understanding, and the pursuit of knowledge. After the opening circle, the group gathered for the first workshop led by a local ufologist named Dr. Emily Carter. She was known for her engaging presentations and deep understanding of both the scientific and experiential aspects of UFO phenomena. As she took the stage, her passion for the subject was evident, and David felt a thrill of anticipation wash over him. "Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with all of you." "Doctor," Carter began, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "Tonight, we're going to explore the history of UFO sightings and the various theories that have emerged over the years. But more importantly, I want us to think about what these experiences mean on a personal level." As the workshop unfolded, David found himself captivated by Dr. Carter's insights. She shared compelling stories of sightings from around the world, weaving together scientific research, personal accounts, and the psychological implications of such encounters. The participants were engaged, asking questions and sharing their thoughts, creating an atmosphere of lively discussion and exploration. During a break, David and Sarah wandered outside, taking a moment to breathe in the fresh mountain air. The stars were beginning to appear, dotting the sky like diamonds. "This is amazing," Sarah said, her eyes shining with excitement. "I feel like we're part of something truly special here. It's like everyone is on the same wavelength." David nodded in agreement. "It's incredible to see so many people passionate about the same thing. I can't wait to see what else we'll discover together this weekend." They stood together for a moment, soaking in the beauty of the night, the air filled with possibility. As night fell, the group gathered for a stargazing session. David felt a sense of awe as they set up telescopes and blankets, preparing to connect with the cosmos above. The sky was clear, and the stars twinkled brightly, each one a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the mysteries that lay beyond. As they gazed up, David felt a sense of wonder wash over him. He pointed out constellations to Sarah, sharing stories of mythology and the significance of the stars throughout history. It was a moment of pure magic, a connection to something greater than themselves. He could see the excitement in Sarah's eyes as she listened intently, absorbing every word. Suddenly, a shooting star streaked across the sky, and gasps of astonishment echoed through the group. "Make a wish!" someone shouted, and laughter erupted as everyone took a moment to embrace the spontaneity of the moment. David closed his eyes briefly, wishing for continued exploration and the courage to seek out the unknown. As the night deepened, David felt a sense of peace envelop him. This gathering was not just about seeking answers. It was about connection to the universe, to each other, and to the mysteries that lay beyond human understanding. Each person there was a thread in the fabric of exploration, and together they were weaving a story that was still unfolding. The next day, the retreat continued with more workshops, discussions, and group activities. David and Sarah facilitated a session on documenting sightings and experiences, encouraging participants to share their stories and insights. The room was filled with laughter, curiosity, and a shared sense of excitement as they engaged in meaningful conversations. David felt energized, knowing that they were empowering others to embrace their curiosity and take ownership of their experiences. As the final day of the retreat approached, David felt a mixture of emotions. They had created something beautiful, a space, for exploration and connection, but he also knew that this was only the beginning. The call of the unknown was still out there, waiting for them to answer. During the closing circle, participants shared their reflections on the weekend. David listened intently, his heart swelling with pride as he heard their stories of connection, inspiration, and newfound curiosity. It was a powerful reminder of the impact they had created together, and he felt grateful to be part of such a vibrant community. "I've never felt so connected to others who share my passions," one participant said, her voice filled with emotion. "This weekend has changed my perspective on so many things. Thank you for creating this space." As the retreat came to an end, David and Sarah exchanged smiles, their hearts full. They had not only fostered a sense of community, but had also ignited a spark of curiosity in each person present. The journey was far from over. It was only just beginning. As they packed up their supplies and prepared to leave, David felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had opened a door to exploration, and he knew they had the power to inspire others to walk through it. The unknown still beckoned, and together they would continue to seek answers among the stars. Before they departed, Sarah suggested they take a moment to reflect on what they had accomplished. They walked a short distance from the campsite, finding a quiet spot overlooking a breathtaking valley bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. They stood side by side, taking in the beauty of their surroundings, the vast expanse of the sky above them. "Look at this view," Sarah said, her voice soft. "It's incredible to think about all the stories that have unfolded right here beneath this sky. All the people who have looked up and wondered." David nodded, feeling a sense of connection to those who had come before them. "And now we're part of that story. We're contributing to the tapestry of exploration." As they stood together, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around them, carrying with it the whispers of the universe. David felt a surge of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken together, for the community they had built, and for the adventures that lay ahead. "Let's promise to keep exploring no matter where the path leads us," he said, looking into Sarah's eyes. "Absolutely," she replied, a determined smile on her face. The call of the unknown is too strong to ignore. With hearts full of hope and excitement, they turned back toward the campsite, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead on their journey of exploration. As the vibrant energy of the retreat began to fade into cherished memories, David and Sarah returned to their daily lives, but the impact of their experience lingered in their hearts and minds. They were no longer just observers of the unknown. They had become active participants in a larger narrative, one that called them to explore the depths of the cosmos and the human experiences intertwined with it. Each day brought new questions, and the desire to seek answers grew stronger, weaving itself into the fabric of their lives. Back at home, David found himself spending late nights in his small study, surrounded by stacks of books and papers, researching UFO sightings and the connections to ancient civilizations. He was fascinated by how historical accounts of unexplained phenomena were often intertwined with the beliefs and myths of the cultures that documented them. The more he learned, the more he felt a sense of responsibility to share this knowledge with others, to bridge the gap between the past and the present. One evening, while perusing dusty texts in the local library, David stumbled upon a tome titled Celestial Encounters, Myths and Realities. The book was filled with intriguing accounts of UFO sightings throughout history, from the ancient Egyptians to the Renaissance. He was particularly struck by a chapter detailing a series of sightings in the 1,950 seconds where multiple witnesses described similar crafts with glowing lights. As he read, he felt a familiar thrill of excitement, the same sensation he had experienced during the retreat. This was a treasure trove of information that could help illuminate the connections between humanity and the cosmos. Inspired, David decided it was time to organize another community event, a presentation that would delve into the historical context of UFO sightings and their cultural significance. He envisioned a gathering that would not only educate but also inspire participants to think critically about the information they encountered. This event would be an opportunity to ignite curiosity and spark discussions that transcended mere fascination, leading to deeper reflections on humanity's place in the universe. He shared his idea with Sarah, who immediately embraced it with enthusiasm. "I love it," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can use visuals, maybe even incorporate some storytelling elements to make it engaging. We can invite people to share their own family stories or local legends about the sky and the unexplained." David nodded, already brainstorming ways to make the event interactive and thought-provoking. We could also create a timeline of significant sightings and events throughout history. It would be fascinating to see how these stories have evolved over time and how they resonate with our current understanding. As they began planning the event, David and Sarah reached out to local historians, educators, and enthusiasts, inviting them to contribute their knowledge and insights. They crafted a flyer that captured the essence of what they wanted to achieve, a community gathering to explore the intersection of myth, history, and the unexplained. Every detail was carefully considered, from the layout of the space to the materials they would provide for attendees to actively participate. As the date of the event approached, excitement buzzed in the air. David found himself nostalgic for the connections they had fostered during the retreat. This new event felt like a continuation of that journey, an extension of their collective exploration into the unknown. He envisioned the room filled with eager faces, ready to engage in discussions that transcended the boundaries of time and understanding. On the day of the event, the atmosphere was electric. The community centre was adorned with posters depicting historical sightings, constellations, and ancient artifacts. David and Sarah had set up tables with materials for attendees to create their own timelines, encouraging them to contribute their knowledge and experiences. As participants arrived, the room buzzed with excitement and curiosity, the air thick with anticipation of the discoveries that awaited them. David opened the event with a warm welcome, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over him. Thank you, all, for being here today. We're excited to explore the rich history of UFO sightings and how these encounters have shaped our understanding of the universe and ourselves. His voice resonated with passion, hoping to inspire others to embrace the curiosity that had driven him and Sarah. As he spoke, David felt the energy in the room shift. People were leaning in, eager to hear more. He began presenting the timeline they had created, highlighting key sightings and events that had captured the public's imagination over the decades. From the ancient Sumerians who documented strange flying objects in their texts to the infamous Roswell incident in 1947, our understanding of these phenomena has evolved significantly, David explained, gesturing to images projected on a screen. But what remains constant is humanity's fascination with the unknown. As he continued, David noticed a young woman in the audience, her hand raised. What about the sightings that have been debunked? How do we differentiate between genuine encounters and hoaxes? She asked, her voice filled with curiosity and concern. That's a great question, David replied, impressed by her engagement. Critical thinking is essential when exploring this subject. Many sightings have been explained through scientific means, but there remain numerous cases that defy easy explanation. It's important to approach each account with an open mind while also applying skepticism. The truth is often more complex than we initially perceive. The discussion flowed naturally, and David felt invigorated by the exchanges. Participants shared their own stories, some recounting family legends about mysterious lights in the sky, while others shared their personal encounters. The room was alive with energy individuals from different backgrounds coming together to share their experiences and insights, weaving a rich tapestry of narratives that illuminated the complexities of human experience. Later in the evening, David invited a local historian named Mr. Jenkins to share his research on ancient civilizations and their encounters with celestial beings. Mr. Jenkins spoke passionately about the Sumerians, Egyptians, and even the Mayans, detailing how these cultures interpreted celestial events and the significance they placed on the stars. Many of these ancient civilizations believed that the heavens held messages from the gods, he explained, gesturing to a chart depicting ancient star maps. They saw the stars as guides, not just for navigation, but also for understanding their place in the universe. The stories they crafted around these encounters still resonate today. David felt a spark of inspiration ignite within him. He realized that the quest for understanding the cosmos was not just about seeking answers. It was also about exploring the stories that connected humanity across time and space. As Mr. Jenkins concluded his presentation, David opened the floor for questions and discussions, eager to hear how these insights resonated with the audience. As the night wore on, David felt a profound sense of satisfaction. The event had been a success, not just in terms of attendance, but in the meaningful connections that had formed. People were leaving with new perspectives, inspired to continue exploring the mysteries of the universe in their own lives. He saw it in their eyes, the flicker of curiosity ignited, the desire to learn more about the world around them, and the yearning to connect with something greater than themselves. As attendees began to disperse, David and Sarah took a moment to reflect on the evening. "I can't believe how engaged everyone was," Sarah said, her face glowing with excitement. "It felt like we really sparked something in them. This is what we envisioned, an opportunity for people to come together and share their experiences." David nodded, his heart full. "We did, and I think this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore and share." He looked into the starry sky outside, feeling the call of the unknown beckoning them once again. It was a reminder that their journey was far from over. It was merely entering a new chapter. In the days that followed, David and Sarah found themselves energized by the success of the event. They began brainstorming future gatherings, eager to keep the momentum going. The quest for knowledge seemed endless, and they were determined to continue fostering a community that embraced curiosity and exploration. One evening, while sitting at a cafe, David received a message from an attendee named Lisa, who had shared a compelling story about her grandfather's experiences during World War II. He had claimed to have witnessed strange lights in the sky while stationed in Europe. Intrigued, David reached out to Lisa, inviting her to meet and share more about her grandfather's experiences. As they sat together over coffee, Lisa spoke passionately about her grandfather's stories. He always said that what he saw was unlike anything he had ever encountered. He believed it changed his perspective on life. It was almost as if he felt a connection to something greater than himself. Her eyes sparkled with nostalgia and pride as she recounted her grandfather's accounts, revealing how they had shaped her own understanding of the world. David listened intently, captivated by her words. "Have you thought about documenting his experiences? It could be a powerful story to share with others who are also exploring these mysteries. Every experience is valuable, and your grandfather's could inspire many." Lisa's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "I hadn't considered that. I think his experiences could really resonate with others. He always encouraged me to remain curious about the world around me, to ask questions and seek answers. It's been a driving force in my life." Inspired by their conversation, David suggested they collaborate on a project to document local stories of encounters with the unknown. They envisioned creating a digital archive where people could submit their experiences, contributing to a growing collection of narratives that could inspire others to explore the mysteries of the universe. As the weeks unfolded, their project began to take shape. They reached out to their community, inviting individuals to share their stories, whether they were personal encounters, family legends, or simply experiences that sparked curiosity. The response was overwhelming, with people eager to contribute their narratives. Each submission was a testament to the enduring nature of curiosity and the human spirit. David and Sarah worked tirelessly to organize the submissions, creating a user-friendly website that showcased the stories in an engaging format. As they reviewed each account, they felt a sense of responsibility to honor the voices of those who had shared their experiences. It became clear that these narratives were not just individual stories, they were reflections of humanity's collective search for understanding. One evening, while reviewing submissions, David came across a particularly poignant story from a woman named Clara, who described a life-altering encounter she had as a child. She recounted how, during a camping trip with her family, she had witnessed a series of lights dancing across the night sky. The experience had left her in awe, and she had spent her life searching for answers, much like David and Sarah. Moved by Clara's story, David reached out to her, inviting her to discuss her experience further. During their conversation, Clara spoke passionately about the impact the encounter had on her life. "It made me realize that there's so much more to this world than what meets the eye. I've always felt a connection to the cosmos, and I want to share that with others. It's not just about what I saw, it's about how it changed me." As Clara shared more about her journey, David felt a deep sense of gratitude for the connections they were fostering through their project. Each story was a thread in the tapestry of exploration, weaving together a narrative that transcended individual experiences. The more stories they collected, the clearer it became that these encounters were not isolated events. They were part of a larger dialogue about humanity's place in the universe. As the project continued to grow, David and Sarah decided to host a community event to celebrate the launch of their digital archive. They envisioned an evening dedicated to sharing the stories they had collected, inviting contributors to speak about their experiences and the impact it had on their lives. It would be an opportunity to honor the voices that had contributed to their growing understanding of the unknown. On the night of the event, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. The community center was decorated with images from the archive, showcasing the stories that had been shared. David felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he prepared to welcome attendees, knowing that this was an opportunity to bring their community together in a celebration of curiosity and exploration. As people arrived, David greeted them warmly, eager to share the stories they had gathered. He could see the excitement in the faces of attendees, many of whom had contributed their own narratives. The energy in the room was palpable as they gathered for the opening remarks. "Thank you all for being here tonight," David began, his voice steady and filled with emotion. "Tonight, we celebrate the stories of our community, stories of encounters with the unknown that have shaped our understanding of the universe and ourselves. Each of you has contributed to this project, and together we create a tapestry of exploration that reflects our shared curiosity." As the evening unfolded, attendees took turns sharing their experiences, each story resonating deeply with the audience. Clara spoke passionately about her encounter, her voice filled with emotion as she recounted the details that had left an indelible mark on her life. "It's not just about what I saw, it's about how it changed me. I've spent my life searching for answers, and I hope my story inspires others to embrace their curiosity and seek their truths." The room filled with applause as Clara concluded her story, and David felt a sense of pride swell within him. This was what they had set out to achieve, a space for connection, exploration, and inspiration. The air was thick with emotion, each shared experience echoing the sentiments of curiosity and wonder that had brought everyone together. As the night wore on, David reflected on how far they had come. What had begun as a personal journey of discovery had transformed into a collective exploration of the unknown, a community dedicated to seeking answers and sharing experiences. The echoes of the past were alive in the stories being shared, each one a reminder of the enduring human spirit and the quest for understanding. As attendees began to disperse, David and Sarah exchanged smiles. Their hearts full, they were not just witnesses to the unknown. They were part of a larger narrative, a tapestry woven from the threads of countless stories, each one contributing to the exploration of the mysteries that lay beyond the stars. With a renewed sense of purpose, David looked up at the night sky, the stars twinkling brightly above. He felt the call of the unknown resonate within him, a reminder that their journey was far from over. Together, they would continue to seek answers, to explore the depths of the cosmos, and to celebrate the stories that connected them all. As their community blossomed, David and Sarah realized that the pursuit of knowledge was not just an individual endeavor. It was a shared journey that would lead them to places they had yet to imagine. As the days turned into weeks, the momentum of David and Sarah's community project continued to build and flourish. The digital archive they had created blossomed into a vibrant hub for stories of encounters with the unknown. People from various backgrounds contributed their experiences, each adding depth and richness to the tapestry of exploration they were weaving. The stories ranged from personal UFO sightings to family legends that had been passed down through generations, each narrative echoing with the shared human experience of curiosity and wonder and a longing for connection to something greater. David found himself increasingly immersed in the project. Each evening, he would sift through new submissions, absorbing the extraordinary encounters and inexplicable phenomena described within. Each story was a reminder of the vastness of human experience and the mysteries that still lay beyond the veil of understanding. He felt a growing sense of responsibility to honor these voices, ensuring that each story was told with the reverence it deserved. With every narrative he encountered, he felt the weight of the experiences, shared moments of awe, fear, joy, and confusion that had shaped the lives of those who dared to look beyond the ordinary. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves danced in shades of amber and crimson outside his window, David received a message that piqued his curiosity. It was from a man named Thomas, who claimed to have had a profound experience during a camping trip in the mountains several years prior. Intrigued by the potential of another compelling story, David reached out to Thomas, inviting him to share his experience in person. He prepared himself for what could be a transformative conversation, one that might deepen their understanding of the unknown. When they met at a local cafe, David could see the excitement and nervousness in Thomas's eyes. He was a middle-aged man with a rugged appearance, his hands calloused from years of outdoor activities, a hint of adventure etched into the lines of his face. He wore a weathered flannel shirt that seemed to hang on him like a badge of honor from countless trips into the wild. As they settled into their seats, Thomas wasted no time diving into his narrative, a reflection of the urgency he felt to share his experience. "I was out camping with some friends deep in the woods," he began, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of emotion. "It was a clear night, and we were stargazing, sharing stories around the campfire. The air was crisp, and the stars shone like diamonds scattered across a velvet sky. Then, out of nowhere, we noticed these lights in the sky. At first, I thought it was an airplane, but they moved in ways that didn't make sense. They darted around, changed colours, and seemed to communicate with each other, almost like they were dancing." David leaned in, captivated by the intensity of Thomas's recounting. "What happened next?" he urged, eager to learn more about this extraordinary encounter that had evidently left a lasting impact on Thomas's life. Thomas took a deep breath, his expression growing serious as he recalled the events. "We were all transfixed, caught in a mesmerizing spectacle that felt both beautiful and otherworldly. I remember feeling this overwhelming sense of peace, like we were being watched over by something far beyond our understanding. The lights were unlike anything I had ever seen, brilliant, almost pulsating with energy. Then, one of the lights descended closer to us. It hovered silently, and I could feel my heart race with both fear and exhilaration. I wanted to reach out and touch it, to somehow bridge the gap between us." David could see the emotion welling up in Thomas's eyes, and he felt a chill run down his spine. "What happened?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, fully aware of the weight of the moment they were sharing. "We all felt this wave of energy," Thomas continued, his voice shaking slightly with the memory. "It was like time stood still. I can't explain it. It was as if the universe opened up, and we were a part of something much larger than ourselves. The light enveloped us, and in that moment, I felt a profound sense of belonging, as if I had found my place in the cosmos. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the lights shot back up into the sky and vanished without a trace, leaving us in stunned silence." The intensity of Thomas's experience left David in awe. "That's incredible," he said, feeling a surge of inspiration. "Have you shared this story with others? It sounds like a life-changing moment." "I've told a few close friends, but I've never gone public with it," Thomas admitted, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "I've always been afraid of how people would react, but after attending your event, I felt like I needed to share it. It's been weighing on my mind for years, and I believe it's time to let go of that fear." David nodded, understanding the weight of such experiences. "Your story deserves to be heard. It could resonate with so many people who have felt the same call of the unknown. Would you be willing to share it on our platform? We're always looking for compelling narratives to inspire others." Thomas hesitated, but the fire in his eyes told David that he was ready. "Yes, I think I would. It's time to let go of that fear and embrace the story," he said, determination seeping into his voice. With a renewed sense of purpose, David and Thomas worked together to craft a compelling narrative that would be included in the digital archive. As they collaborated, David marveled at the cathartic process of storytelling. It was as if Thomas was reliving the experience, finding healing in the act of sharing. The more they discussed the details, the more Thomas's story came alive, filled with vivid imagery and emotion that captured the essence of his encounter. As they finalized the narrative, David suggested they include illustrations to enhance the story visually. They reached out to a local artist named Mia, whose work captured the ethereal beauty of the cosmos. Mia was excited to collaborate, eager to lend her talents to the project, and brought a fresh perspective to the narrative. Together, they created illustrations that depicted Thomas's experience, capturing the surreal nature of the encounter with vibrant colors and imaginative depictions of the lights that had mesmerized him. Each illustration conveyed not just the visuals but the emotions associated with that fateful night. When the story was finally published on the archive, it garnered an overwhelming response. People resonated with Thomas's vulnerability and courage in sharing his experience. Comments flooded in, with others sharing similar encounters and expressing gratitude for the platform that allowed them to connect and explore their own experiences. The narrative sparked discussions about the nature of such sightings and what they might mean, allowing people to engage in a dialogue that transcended mere curiosity. Encouraged by the positive feedback, David and Sarah decided to host another community gathering to celebrate the expansion of the archive and feature Thomas's story prominently. They envisioned an evening dedicated to storytelling, where individuals could come together to share their experiences and connect over their shared curiosity about the unknown. The idea was to create a space where people could feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and emotions regarding their encounters. As the date approached, the excitement in the community grew. David worked tirelessly to promote the event, reaching out to local media and encouraging participants to invite friends and family. He plastered flyers around town and leveraged social media to spread the word, ensuring that as many people as possible would attend. The gathering would celebrate not only Thomas's story, but also the collective exploration of the unknown that had brought them all together. On the night of the event, the community centre buzzed with energy. The walls were adorned with colourful illustrations from the archive, and the air was filled with laughter and anticipation. David welcomed attendees with open arms, feeling a sense of pride in what they had built together. He could see familiar faces mingling with newcomers, all united by their curiosity and eagerness to share their stories. As the evening unfolded, David introduced Thomas, who stood before the audience, a mix of nerves and excitement evident on his face. "Thank you all for being here," Thomas began, his voice strong despite the tremor of anxiety. "I'm grateful for this opportunity to share my story with you. It's something I've kept inside for far too long, and I hope it resonates with some of you, as it has with me." His sincerity infused the room with a sense of intimacy, allowing everyone present to feel more connected to one another. As he recounted his experience, the room fell silent, captivated by his words. David watched as Thomas's passion ignited the audience, drawing them into the moment. The way he described the lights, the feelings of peace and connection, painted a vivid picture that allowed everyone to experience the wonder alongside him. The audience hung on his every word, their expressions shifting from skepticism to awe as Thomas shared the intricate details of his encounter. When he finished, the room erupted in applause, a collective appreciation for the courage it took to share such a profound experience. David felt a surge of warmth, knowing that this was what they had envisioned, a space for connection, understanding, and exploration. The evening continued with several more attendees sharing their stories, each one adding to the rich tapestry of experiences that defined their community. Stories flowed like a river, each encounter unique, yet resonating with common themes of wonder, fear, and the search for meaning. As the night drew to a close, David gathered everyone for a final reflection. "Thank you all for sharing your stories and for being part of this journey," he said, his heart full. "Each of you adds a unique thread to our collective narrative, and together we are creating something truly special. The mysteries of the universe are vast, but it's our shared curiosity that connects us." As applause filled the room, David felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. They were not just a collection of individuals, they were a family bound by a shared quest for understanding. Each story shared, each connection made, brought them closer to understanding the mysteries that lay beyond the stars. In the weeks that followed, the archive continued to grow, attracting attention from people beyond their immediate community. Stories of encounters and experiences poured in from across the country, each one adding depth to their mission. David and Sarah realized that they were tapping into something much larger than themselves, a movement fueled by curiosity and the human desire for connection. The archive became a beacon for those seeking to share their truths and connect with others who understood their journeys. One evening, as David reviewed new submissions, he received a message that caught his eye. It was from a researcher at a university who had come across their archive and was interested in collaborating on a study exploring the psychological effects of UFO encounters on individuals. Intrigued by the potential for academic engagement, David reached out to the researcher, eager to discuss the possibilities. He saw this as an opportunity not just to validate the experiences shared in the archive, but also to contribute to the broader discourse surrounding such phenomena. Their conversation blossomed into a partnership that would allow them to delve deeper into the narratives collected in the archive. They began planning a series of interviews with contributors, seeking to understand the emotional and psychological impact of their experiences. David was excited about the prospect of contributing to the academic discourse surrounding UFO encounters, bridging the gap between personal experiences and scholarly research. He envisioned a comprehensive study that could provide insights into how these encounters shaped individuals' worldviews and emotional responses. As the project progressed, David and Sarah continued to engage their community, hosting workshops and discussions that encouraged participants to reflect on their experiences. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as attendees shared insights and explored the deeper meanings behind their encounters. David loved how these gatherings brought people together, creating an environment where everyone felt free to express their thoughts without judgment. It was a beautiful sight to see individuals who had once felt isolated now standing together, united by their shared experiences. One night, during a workshop, a woman named Elena shared her story of a sighting she had experienced as a child. "I was playing in my backyard when I saw this silver disc hovering over my house. It was so close, and I could see the details on its surface, the metallic sheen, the way it reflected the sunlight. I ran inside to tell my parents, but they brushed it off as my imagination. I've carried that moment with me for years, but it wasn't until recently that I realized how much it affected me." David listened intently, understanding the weight of her words. "It's important to acknowledge those experiences, no matter how others may perceive them," he said gently. "Your story is valid, and it adds to the collective understanding of these phenomena. Sometimes, sharing it can help free you from the burden of isolation and empower you to embrace your truth." Elena's eyes filled with emotion as she spoke about the sense of isolation she had felt over the years. "Thank you for creating this space. It feels good to finally share my experience and connect with others who understand. I've always felt like I had to hide this part of myself, but being here tonight makes me feel like I'm not alone." As the participants engaged in discussion, David felt a renewed sense of purpose. The stories they were collecting were not just anecdotes, they were powerful narratives that reflected the human experience. Each encounter was a thread in the larger fabric of exploration, reminding them of the mysteries that lay beyond the stars. As the months rolled on, the community thrived, and David and Sarah realized that their journey was about more than just uncovering the unknown. It was about fostering connections, creating a safe space for exploration, and empowering individuals to share their truths. They were building a legacy of curiosity that would inspire future generations to seek answers and embrace the mystery of the cosmos. One evening, as David prepared for a meeting with the researcher, he reflected on how far they had come since that fateful retreat in the mountains. The journey had been transformative, not just for him, but for everyone involved. It was a reminder that the call of the unknown was not just a personal quest, it was a shared journey that connected them all. As he looked up at the night sky, David felt a sense of peace wash over him. The stars twinkled brightly, each one a reminder of the mysteries that lay beyond. He knew that their journey was far from over. It was merely entering a new phase, filled with possibilities and a deeper understanding of the universe and their place within it. The experiences shared in their community were not just stories, they were living testaments to the power of human connection and the desire to explore the unknown. The following week, David and Sarah hosted another workshop. This one focused on the theme of connection to the cosmos. They encouraged participants to share not only their stories of encounters, but also their thoughts on how these experiences had shaped their understanding of life and the universe. The energy in the room was palpable, with a sense of anticipation that hung in the air as people settled into their seats, eager to engage in meaningful conversation. As participants began to share, David was struck by the diversity of perspectives. One man spoke of how his sighting had sparked a deep interest in astronomy, leading him to pursue a degree in astrophysics. He described how he had spent countless nights peering through telescopes, searching for answers to questions that often felt unanswerable. His passion was infectious, and David could see the intrigue it sparked in others. A woman described how her encounter had inspired her to advocate for environmental protection, feeling a profound connection to nature and a sense of responsibility to care for the planet. "I realized that if there are beings out there watching us, we owe it to ourselves and to them to take better care of this world," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "Our actions have consequences beyond what we can see, and I want to be a part of the solution." Each story resonated deeply, creating a symphony of voices that harmonized around the shared experience of wonder. David felt a sense of gratitude wash over him as he looked around the room, absorbing the energy and enthusiasm that filled the space. It was a beautiful sight, a testament to the impact of their gatherings. David felt a surge of gratitude for the connections they had fostered and the stories that had been shared. Together, they were creating a movement that celebrated curiosity and exploration. At the end of the workshop, David encouraged everyone to take a moment for personal reflection. As we wrap up tonight, I invite each of you to think about what your experiences mean to you. How have they shaped your understanding of the universe? And what message do you want to share with others about your journey? He watched as people closed their eyes, the room falling silent as they pondered their thoughts. As he looked around, he could see expressions of contemplation and introspection. It was a beautiful sight, a testament to the impact of the gathering. David felt a sense of fulfillment in knowing that this community was a safe space for exploration and discovery. They were not just sharing stories, they were creating a community that transcended geographical boundaries, united by a shared quest for understanding. In the following weeks, as the digital archive continued to grow, David found himself contemplating the next steps for their community. He envisioned a larger event, perhaps a festival dedicated to exploration, featuring speakers, workshops, and art that celebrated the mysteries of the universe. He shared his idea with Sarah, who immediately embraced it with enthusiasm. "That sounds amazing," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We could invite experts from various fields, like astronomers, psychologists, and even artists who interpret the cosmos in their work. It would be a fantastic way to bring everyone together and celebrate our shared curiosity." David's mind raced with possibilities as they began brainstorming ideas for the festival. They envisioned a day filled with engaging presentations, interactive workshops, and opportunities for attendees to share their own stories. They would create a space where people could connect with like-minded individuals, explore their interests, and inspire one another. The festival would be a celebration of all things unexplained, a gathering that would draw people from all walks of life to share their stories and experiences. As they planned, David reached out to potential speakers, collaborators, eager to bring their vision to life. He was heartened by the positive responses he received. Many individuals were excited about the prospect of participating in an event that celebrated exploration and curiosity. The planning process was invigorating as they coordinated with local businesses, artists, and speakers to create a diverse lineup that would appeal to a wide audience. They envisioned keynote speakers who could provide insights into current research in the field and workshops that would allow participants to engage directly with experts. As the festival date approached, the excitement in the community reached a fever pitch. David and Sarah worked tirelessly to coordinate logistics, ensuring that every detail was taken care of. They reached out to local businesses for support, inviting them to set up booths and share their own stories related to exploration and discovery. The community center was transformed into a vibrant space filled with energy, anticipation. Colourful banners decorated the walls, and tables were set up with information about the digital archive, inviting attendees to explore the stories that had been collected. On the day of the festival, David felt a rush of adrenaline as he surveyed the scene. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and chatter as people mingled and connected. It was a beautiful sight, a celebration of curiosity and exploration in all its forms. As attendees began to arrive, David welcomed them with open arms, eager to share the excitement of the day. He could see familiar faces mingling with newcomers, all united by their curiosity and eagerness to share their stories. The festival had come and gone, but its impact lingered in the hearts and minds of all who attended. David and Sarah had created something truly remarkable, a space where curiosity thrived and connections flourished. As the dust settled from the event, David found himself reflecting on the myriad stories shared, the faces illuminated by the glow of shared experiences, and the sense of community that had blossomed around them. In the weeks following the festival, the digital archive continued to expand, attracting more contributors eager to share their encounters. David and Sarah received stories from far and wide, each submission a unique thread woven into the rich tapestry of exploration. The archive was no longer just a collection of anecdotes. It had evolved into a living document of human experience, a testament to the universal quest for understanding the unknown. One crisp evening, David sat at his desk, surrounded by the soft glow of his computer screen, reviewing the latest submissions. The clicking of keys echoed in the quiet room as he immersed himself in the stories of others. One particular submission caught his eye, a narrative from a woman named Clara, detailing her experience with a mysterious light that had appeared during a camping trip in a remote area. Intrigued by the potential of her story, David reached out to her, inviting her to discuss her experience. Clara was a soft-spoken woman in her 40s, with an air of calmness that instantly put David at ease. When they met at a local coffee shop, he could sense her reluctance to share her story, as if the weight of her experience had been a burden she had carried alone for too long. "I've never really talked about it with anyone," Clara admitted, her fingers nervously wrapping around her coffee cup. I've always felt people would think I was crazy. David nodded, understanding the hesitation. You're among friends here. This is a safe space to share your truth. Your experience is valid, and it deserves to be heard. With a deep breath, Clara began to recount her story. It was a few years ago. I went camping with some friends in a remote part of the national park. One night, we were sitting around the campfire, just chatting and enjoying the stars. Then, out of nowhere, this bright light appeared in the sky. At first, I thought it was a helicopter, but it was completely silent and moved in ways I had never seen before. As she spoke, David could see the emotions flooding back, the memories washing over her like waves. The light began to hover above us, casting an eerie glow on the trees. It felt like time stood still. I remember my heart racing, a mix of fear and awe. I wanted to run, but I was also fascinated. My friends were just as stunned. We all sat there, frozen, watching this phenomenon unfold. What happened next? David prompted, captivated by her words. Clara continued. The light began to pulsate, almost as if it were communicating with us. Then it shot off into the distance at an incredible speed, disappearing in the blink of an eye. After it left, we were all in shock, trying to process what we had just witnessed. But when I tried to tell my friends about how I felt, they dismissed it, saying it was probably just a drone or something. David could see the hurt in her eyes as she recounted the experience. That's tough, he said softly. Sometimes people struggle to understand what they haven't experienced themselves. But your feelings are important. How did that night affect you? Clara took a moment to gather her thoughts. It made me question everything. I've always been a logical person, but after that night, I felt a pull toward the unknown. I couldn't shake the feeling that we're not alone in this universe. It opened up a whole new realm of possibilities for me. David felt a surge of empathy for Clara. That's a powerful realization. Many people have had similar feelings after their encounters. It's as if the universe itself is calling us to explore further. Clara nodded, her expression growing more animated. Exactly. I started reading about UFOs, astronomy, and even ancient civilizations. I wanted to understand what I had seen and why it affected me so profoundly. But I still felt isolated because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. Well, you're not alone anymore, David said, smiling warmly. Your story is important, and it can inspire others. Would you be willing to share it on our platform? Clara hesitated for a moment, but the spark of excitement in her eyes grew. Yes, I think I'd like that. It's time for me to share my experience. As they worked together to craft her narrative, Clara blossomed. The act of sharing her story unlocked a newfound confidence within her. David encouraged her to describe her feelings and the significance of her encounter, ensuring that her voice was authentically represented. Together, they created a compelling narrative that resonated with the themes of curiosity and exploration that had become the cornerstone of their community. Once Clara's story was published, it sparked a wave of discussions among readers. People shared their own experiences and expressed gratitude for her bravery in coming forward. Clara's story became a beacon of hope for others who had felt similarly isolated, inspiring them to connect and share their own truths. As the archive continued to grow, David and Sarah brainstormed ways to further engage their community. They decided to host a series of themed events, each focusing on different aspects of the unknown. One night dedicated to UFO sightings, another to ancient civilizations and their connections to the stars, and yet another to the psychological impacts of encounters. Each event would feature guest speakers, workshops, and opportunities for attendees to share their stories. The first themed night, UFO Encounters, The Stories We Share, attracted a diverse crowd. David stood at the entrance of the community center, greeting attendees with enthusiasm. The excitement in the air was palpable as people gathered, eager to share their experiences and hear from others who had encountered the inexplicable. As the evening began, David welcomed everyone and introduced the guest speaker, a local ufologist named Dr. Lydia Thompson. Dr. Thompson was known for her work in the field, having spent years studying UFO phenomena and the cultural implications of sightings. Her expertise brought a level of credibility to the event, and attendees listened with rapt attention as she shared her insights. UFO sightings are often dismissed as mere figments of imagination or misidentified objects, Dr. Thompson began. However, There are countless documented cases that defy explanation. What we need to remember is that each encounter is a piece of a much larger puzzle. Our understanding of these phenomena is still in its infancy, and it's essential for us to approach these stories with an open mind. David watched as the audience hung on her every word. He could see nods of agreement, faces illuminated by the glow of curiosity and intrigue. After her presentation, the floor opened up for questions, and attendees eagerly raised their hands to share their thoughts and experiences. One woman stood up and shared her encounter with a bright light that had appeared during a camping trip. "I thought I was the only one," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Hearing Dr. Thompson speak made me realize that there are others out there who have had similar experiences. It's comforting to know I'm not alone." The room erupted in applause, and David felt a warm sense of belonging wash over him. This was exactly what they had hoped for, a space where people could connect, share their truths, and find solace in their shared experiences. As the night progressed, more attendees shared their stories, each one adding a unique thread to the rich tapestry of exploration. David felt a surge of gratitude for the community they had built together, a testament to the power of storytelling and connection. As the evening drew to a close, David reflected on the impact these gatherings were having on individuals and the community as a whole. The stories shared were not just anecdotes. They were powerful narratives that reflected the human experience and the universal quest for understanding the unknown. In the weeks that followed, each themed event drew larger crowds, transforming the community center into a hub of exploration and curiosity. David and Sarah felt invigorated by the enthusiasm, their vision for the archive growing clearer with each passing day. They began planning even more ambitious events, including workshops on storytelling techniques, art exhibits featuring cosmic-themed works, and even film screenings of documentaries related to UFO encounters. One afternoon, as David was preparing for the next event, he received an email from a documentary filmmaker interested in collaborating on a project about the archive. She had come across their website and was intrigued by the stories they were collecting. She wanted to document the experiences of individuals who had encountered the unknown. David felt a rush of excitement at the possibility. This could be a fantastic opportunity for our community, he thought. He quickly responded, arranging a meeting with the filmmaker to discuss the potential project further. The idea of sharing their stories on a larger platform filled him with hope. It could inspire even more people to come forward with their experiences and contribute to the growing dialogue surrounding UFOs and the mysteries of the universe. As the meeting approached, David prepared himself, gathering thoughts and ideas about how the documentary could focus on the community aspect of the archive. He wanted to highlight not just the individual experiences, but also the connections formed through shared curiosity and exploration. This was about more than just UFO sightings. It was about the human spirit's desire to seek answers and find meaning in the unknown. When the filmmaker arrived at the community center, David greeted her warmly and showed her around. He introduced her to some of the attendees who had shared their stories, allowing her to see firsthand the impact their narratives had on others. The filmmaker was captivated, taking notes and recording moments that showcased the vibrant energy of the community. During their discussion, David shared his vision for the documentary. This isn't just about the phenomenon itself, it's about the people who have experienced it and how those experiences have shaped their lives. I want to show the world that these stories matter and that they connect us all in profound ways. The filmmaker nodded enthusiastically, clearly seeing the potential in David's vision. I love that idea. It's important to highlight the emotional and psychological aspects of these encounters. There's so much depth to explore here. With their collaboration underway, David felt a renewed sense of purpose. The documentary would serve as a bridge, connecting the intimate stories of individuals with a broader audience, sparking curiosity and conversation beyond their local community. It was an opportunity to expand the reach of the archive and invite more people into the dialogue about the unknown. As the weeks passed, the planning and filming began in earnest. The filmmaker interviewed various contributors to the archive, capturing their stories on camera and allowing them to share their experiences in their own words. David coordinated with the community, ensuring that everyone felt comfortable and supported throughout the process. He could see the impact the project was having on individuals, many of whom found healing and empowerment in sharing their stories publicly. One evening, as filming wrapped up for the day, David gathered with some of the participants to reflect on the experience. How does it feel to share your story on camera? He asked, genuinely interested in their thoughts. A man named Eric, who had shared his encounter with a strange craft while hiking, spoke up. It's liberating. Honestly, I've carried this story with me for so long, and now I feel like I'm finally letting it go. It's like a weight has been lifted. Another participant, a woman named Lisa, nodded in agreement. I was so scared to talk about my experience, but being here with all of you has changed that. I feel like I belong to something bigger than myself. David felt a swell of pride as he listened to their reflections. This was what he had envisioned, a community that empowered individuals to share their truths and connect over their shared curiosity. The documentary was not just a project. It was a celebration of exploration, a testament to the human spirit's resilience and desire for connection. As filming progressed, David and Sarah began to plan a screening event to showcase the documentary once it was completed. They envisioned a gathering that would not only celebrate the film but also serve as a platform for further discussions about the themes explored within. The anticipation for this event grew, with attendees eager to see their stories come to life on the screen. On the night of the screening, the community centre buzzed with energy. Attendees mingled, sharing their excitement and anticipation for the film. David felt a rush of emotion as he looked around the room, recognizing the faces of those who had become more than just contributors. They were friends, allies in the quest for understanding the unknown. As the lights dimmed and the film began, David's heart raced with anticipation. He watched as the stories unfolded on the screen, each narrative beautifully captured, showcasing the profound impact of the experiences shared. Laughter, tears, and moments of reflection filled the room as the audience engaged with the film, resonating with the emotions portrayed. When the credits rolled, the audience erupted in applause, and David felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This was a moment of triumph, not just for the documentary but for the community as a whole. The stories shared had struck a chord, inviting deeper conversations about the nature of the unknown and the connections that bind humanity together. After the screening, David and Sarah hosted a discussion panel, inviting some of the contributors to share their thoughts on the film and the process of sharing their experiences. The room was alive with energy as attendees asked questions and engaged in meaningful dialogue. One young man stood up, his voice filled with curiosity. What do you think is the biggest takeaway from sharing these stories? What do you hope people learn? David thought for a moment before responding. I hope people realize that they're not alone in their experiences. There's a community out there filled with individuals who have faced similar questions and fears. By sharing our stories, we create a space for understanding, healing, and connection. The discussion continued, with attendees sharing their insights and reflections. The atmosphere was one of camaraderie and shared purpose, a testament to the power of storytelling to bring people together. David felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that they had created a platform for exploration and connection that would continue to thrive. As the evening came to a close, David looked around the room, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for the journey they had embarked upon. The archive had transformed into more than just a collection of stories. It had become a movement that celebrated curiosity, exploration, and the human spirit's quest for understanding the unknown. In the months that followed, the impact of the documentary continued to ripple through the community. The archive attracted even more contributors, and the conversations surrounding UFO encounters and the mysteries of the universe grew louder. David and Sarah embraced the momentum, excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. One evening, as David prepared for another community gathering, he reflected on how far they had come. It was a journey filled with unexpected twists, but every moment had led them to this celebration of exploration. He knew that the call of the unknown was still beckoning them, and they were ready to answer. As he looked up at the night sky, David felt a sense of peace wash over him. The stars twinkled brightly, each one a reminder of the mysteries that lay beyond. He knew that their journey was far from over. It was merely entering a new phase, filled with possibilities and a deeper understanding of the universe and their place within it. With renewed determination, David stepped into the community centre, ready to embrace whatever came next. The adventure was just beginning, and he was excited to see where it would lead them.